review of Valter Longo's book, The Longevity Diet. Now, I'm not going to do a review of the book or get into his life story or any of that crap that's in the book. What I want to point out, though, is this. The longevity diet, Valter Longo calls it a vegan diet or a mostly vegan diet. It's not. It's really just a high vegetable-based pescatarian diet. But there are important things he points out in the book, and a couple things I think are wrong about the book. Now, mind you, I'm not a research scientist, I'm not a medical doctor, nothing I say in this video should be taken as medical advice. I'm not qualified to give medical advice or nutritional advice. Okay. So, a couple of the things that Valter Longo suggests, and he's right, is that restricting animal protein does seem to extend human lifespan, as does basically what he calls periods of fasting. Now, he disagrees with his mentor, Roy Walford, and I don't disagree with Roy Walford. I do believe that, quote, chronic caloric restriction, maybe not as stark as Roy Walford, but chronic calorie restriction, and I'm going to do reviews of Roy Walford's books so people know what I'm talking about. What cron is, and I'm going to leave links to what cron is and things like that in the description, and also links to Valter Longo's works and stuff like that. But my point would be is this. Some of the things that Valter Longo suggests, yes, restriction of animal protein is a good thing. However, he also suggests restricting plant protein, which I don't think is a good idea. What we know is that the restriction of methionine, and to a degree the restriction of leucine, though I don't think restricting leucine is a good idea. And I'll get into that in another video, because I actually take branched-chain amino acids, but I'm going to get into that in another video. But the reason that the restriction of methionine to a healthy level, a healthy low level, is possible on a vegan diet. And this can still be possible through eating a lot of vegetable proteins. A lot of vegetable protein. Now, I tried a low-protein diet for about 2 years, and it was great while I was exercising like a maniac, but when I had to stop exercising, I gained weight quickly, and I was not overeating calories on this diet. I was practicing the starch solution by Dr. McDougall, and I quickly blew up on the diet from the starches. So I do think that a starch-controlled diet, controlling the amount of starches in the diet, as well as increasing the amount of protein to a high level, like about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, through supplementation with things like pea protein, is a much better approach than just totally restricting protein. Now, another thing dealt with in the longevity diet is what Valter Longo calls the fasting-mimicking diet. And a fasting-mimicking diet is exactly what it sounds like. It's a diet that makes your body think it's starving, so it basically produces certain, it stimulates the genes and the repair mechanisms in the body to make you grow younger. Now, another thing that's important to understand is the regular longevity diet for most people would work because you're observing what's called time-restricted eating. Valter Longo, he suggests that you restrict eating to 12 hours, like you stop eating, say you stop eating at 8 p.m., you start eating at 8 a.m. the next morning. So only a 12-hour window he suggests. Now, he doesn't suggest a 16 or 18-hour window, which is something that I observe. Because he says we don't know what it would do. And he's right, we don't know what it would do. We don't have research. But again, with the fasting mimicking diet, it's a very high-fat, moderate to low-carbohydrate, very low-protein diet for 5 days at a time. Now, he warns people, do not just willy-nilly do the fasting mimicking diet. It can cause fainting, it can cause severe drops in blood pressure. If you're on certain medications, it might interfere with the medications. But the fasting mimicking diet does help things like certain cancers, autoimmune diseases, and things of that nature, which are all mentioned in his book. And I agree with him. Obviously, the research probably is correct, and it does do these things. But I do think that overly restricting protein in general is a bad idea. However, with the fasting mimicking diet, because what it's doing is it's having the body sense a nutrient deprivation. And this is what, this starvation mode is what triggers the body to basically activate the repair mechanisms and the longevity genes. So the fact of the matter is, perhaps on the fasting mimicking diet, you would want to restrict total protein because you are trying to institute a mimicked starvation. However, Valter Longo is very accurate in stating that water fasting is dangerous. I have never been a fan of water fasting or not eating for long periods of time because I was homeless for like 4 years and I didn't eat. Sometimes I didn't eat for 2 weeks. I wouldn't eat nothing for 2 weeks. So I know what it's like to be very hungry. Unfortunately, that experience does translate to me not wanting to be hungry, although I deal with it pretty well. Right now, I restrict. Now I'm on a vegan, a high-protein vegan version of the Cron diet, and the Cron diet is caloric restriction with maximum, or I'm sorry, caloric restriction with optimal nutrition, according to Dr. Roy Walford. Now, I restrict my calories between 1,100 or 1,000. Sometimes I'll go as low as 800 calories a day, but that's very rare. And the highest I'll go is like 1,700 calories. Until I get my weight back to normal, then my caloric intake will go back to 1,800 or something like that. But I will still try and get my macros in line. I get about a third from each macro. I do like, I'm a fan of the 40-30-30 diet from Dr. Sears' work. But the thing with the 40-30-30 diet, if you're trying to lose weight or maintain a very lean look, it has too many carbohydrates. So you want to try and cut the 40 down to a 33, 33 in my opinion. That's what I've found most effective for me when I was younger and in great shape. And that's all for this video. I highly recommend reading Dr. Longo's book. Now, Dr. Longo is not a medical doctor, he's a research scientist. That's why he, like me, is very careful to point out, don't just start doing things. Talk to your doctor if you're interested in doing them. Okay.